Shut up, fool!
Yeah, Satan is First John, was it First John 3? We're all under the power of you. Is that true? Yeah. Well, but you don't control me like a robot, though. You do sometimes. You take away my free will. Huh. I feel free. Just an illusion. Okay. Hey, welcome to 2022. Now that I've separated the secure Christians from the insecure Christians, the secure Muslims from the insecure Muslims, we can get started because all the insecure ones have left after they see me talking to my boss, Satan, in the corner. You're looking good, Satan. Yeah, you didn't put on any Christmas weight. How do you do that? Self-control. Yeah. Yeah, you got a lot of self-control. Yeah. Well done. You're looking good. I like the dress you're wearing. Yeah. It's okay to doubt in 2022. That's the theme of today. But Myron, who is here first? Humbly questioning. Yes. You know, most people, they don't account for inflation, but we here at the PineCreek channel, head office in Wichita, Kansas, we do account for inflation, and 10,000 Pine Points go to humbly questioning because of what the Federal Reserve has mistakenly did because of the COVID crisis and the housing crisis and the Y2K crisis and the tech crisis. There's every crisis, they just throw money at the problem. Oh, I was about to say something, but I don't want to get political. I was going to say, but I'm not really mean it, that's the liberal way, right? Just throw money at problems. 10,000 Pine Points. I just throw Pine Points at problems. 10,000 Pine Points to humbly questioning. Tim Doran, 5,000 Pine Points to you. No, we're man. Do I get points or am I disappointment to my parents? No, you do get points. You are valuable. You're a valuable member of the PineCreek community. 1,000 Pine Points to you. It is Audrey Eves. Sweet. I've been waiting for some more Pine Points. Oh, you're so wrong. I love it when people are confident and then they're wrong. It just gives me joy, hope, meaning, and purpose in my life to see people in pain for being wrong. You're the biggest loser here, Audrey. I hate to tell you this. Your friends are going to disown you now. Even Satan doesn't want anything to do with you. That's how big of a loser you are. But welcome. I've been gone for a couple weeks, mostly because of work, busy. Joe Biden's been very good for my business because a lot of my clients want to move their money into trusts now because of the exemption going down, gifting taxes going up. Hey, I already got a caller. That's great. So I've been busy with work, and thanks, Joe Biden. And I've been vacationing in Disneyland. I went to Disney World in summer, and I went to Disneyland in winter. You're welcome, Disney. I've given you so much money, and I tell you, it is expensive. It is expensive to go to Disneyland. Disneyland now, all the fast passes you have to pay for. I paid $60 just to go on Rise of the Resistance, which is the best ride at Disneyland, bar none. So, you know, $20 for me, $20 for my two kids. My wife didn't want to go on it because of the drop at the end. Oh, it's actually it's not a far drop, but it gets your stomach going. I go on the Cars ride at California Adventure. It doesn't do anything for me anymore. Not a thing. Doesn't make a dent. Oh man, my daughter gave me a Christmas present that says didn't make a dent. But where is it? Oh well, I should have wore that one. But thank you for the donation. Justin Bieber's here. Just give me them points. No, Justin Bieber, you got to earn them. You just can't take your millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that you have and expect to get Pine points. But I do like some of your songs. They give me a chuckle once in a while. So thank you for being here. I was going to say it's okay to. I want to clear up some misconceptions that once you leave Christianity, what happens to you, or Islam, or Judaism, or Hinduism, whatever. Once you leave, I'll pick on Christianity because that's what I love to do. When you leave Christianity, you don't have to dye your hair purple. When you leave Christianity, you don't have to get pierced nose rings or cheek rings or, down there rings. You don't have to do that. When you leave Christianity, you don't have to give up your political party affiliation. No, you don't. If you're a Republican, most atheists are Democrats in the United States, at least. I guess that makes sense because only we use that phrase here in the United States, Democrats and Republican. But you don't have to, become a Democrat once you leave Christianity. You leave Christianity, if you're against abortion, you can still be against abortion. If you become an atheist, you can still be against abortion. Yeah, you don't have to change the way you dress. You don't have to buy different shoes. You can pretty much be the same person you are now if you leave Christianity. You can even swear as much as you usually swore as a Christian. You can still have the lustful thoughts that you used to have as a Christian, but now you don't have to feel guilty about it because these are just thoughts. I can't hurt people right now. Like there's proper FPV in the chat right now. And I'm thinking evil thoughts about that person right now. He's not harmed. He's okay. So really, you don't have to give up much when you leave Christianity. All you have to give up is that a man rose from the dead 2,000 years ago. That's about it. And you'll be okay. And for you Muslims listening, all you have to do is give up the idea that a creator God told a certain guy named Muhammad, 1,400 years ago, that in a cave, that his words given to him, that he's a prophet. You just have to give that up. That's it. You can still cherish traditional family values even. You can. So I think there's a lot of fear in people that when they leave their religion, that they have to give up certain things that they still value, and you don't. I'm like a very traditional conservative old fart when I was a Christian and even now. And look at me, I'm doing great. Okay. Let me see who we got here. Paul, do I take a caller right away? Why not? It's 2022. Anything's possible in the magical kingdom. Maybe. Oh, I know Paul.
Hello, old friend.
Hi, you're from Ireland?
England.
Oh yeah, I've always mixed that up last time. Northern England, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Paul, what do you have to say? What advice can you impart on the people listening for 2022? Tell me and the viewers listening something we don't know. Impress us, Paul. The pressure is on.
There's probably aliens, and it's okay. You weren't expecting that?
No, I was not expecting that. Although I kind of agree with you. What if there's no aliens? What if we're the only sentient life in the universe? Do you think then that'd
almost be more weird? But yeah, but we're probably never going to know because of distance and time and communication problems. So
yeah, but if that were true,
as though
if that were true, that we're the only sentient life in the universe, would you be more likely to believe in a God or less likely?
No, no, I think there's nothing in the criteria or definition of God to say that there's only one. Well, I'd say um, apes and dolphins and all sorts of animals were sentient. I guess it depends on your
Well,
definition.
yeah, I guess, yeah, you're right. But let's say there were no dolphins 10 light billion years away. I actually struggle with this a little bit because a part of me thinks, depending on the day, that if there's no sentient life on any other part of the universe, maybe that does make it more likely that God created the universe for us. But then I think about the opposite. But if God created a universe for life, you would think there would be more life in this universe. So my mind goes back and forth like a pendulum on this issue.
Yeah, I'd yeah. There's a lot of galaxies out there, so it's just so even if there was no other sentient life, he's created a lot of other galaxies that we're just not even ever going to be able to engage with or even be able to see or appreciate. So I don't buy that it's for our benefit. I mean, I'm probably more convinced if it was just the solar system, and interesting
Yes.
in a like a few billion years time or whatever, when the universe is spread out,
If the flat earthers are
we'll be able to
correct,
see.
if the flat earthers are correct with the dome model and the firmament and stuff, if they're correct,
Yeah,
then I think you and I have to become theists. Yes.
yeah, I'm happy to commit to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but you didn't call in to talk about aliens, did you?
Well, kind of, because Christmas Day I saw a news article, and um, at first I thought it was just funny, and then on a bit more reflecting, I thought it was just utterly ridiculous and wound me up a bit. And then after that, I got really kind of concerned. It's like, this might be a bigger problem. So it's the news that NASA have started this project or paid to engage priests. They've had proper interviews and stuff with I think 20 priests, and they named this news article named one from Cambridge or something across different denominations about like how the different religions of the world will respond to confirmation of
Oh
alien
yeah, yeah.
life.
I heard about that, but I didn't read
Um,
it.
and it just like ridiculous, like why are they asking priests? Like because obviously they don't represent any kind of denomination because everyone believes their own individual thing, and they're just the experts at moving goalposts anyway. So they're just like every kind of scientific breakthrough or anything they've
But
always
there
thought
are, yeah, but
they've
I
got
don't,
from the Bible or whatever of
that doesn't bother
how
me
the world
though.
works.
That doesn't bother me though, because I do think that there are theological implications of life on other planets.
Yeah,
Because,
but my problem, the thing that bothered me though, sorry to dive in, but was why did NASA care? Surely NASA's job is just to do the science and to communicate the science. Why are they asking what's going to be the consequence of this potential new information for other groups? It just like made me feel a bit icky to think that they're trying to work out because they're trying to then soften the blow or work out what they can release or they can't trust the general public not to completely lose their
maybe
minds
it's
over
just
this
marketing.
information, so they're not going to communicate it. Maybe it's just marketing,
Yeah, it's just marketing.
but they're just like why are they paying to listen to what priests have got to say on it when it doesn't, like, yeah, it's important that the priests have this conversation almost internally to say got to get our stuff together here, how can we kind of move this goalpost again and keep this kind of save face and keep this coherent and keep the the flock happy. But why why do NASA care?
Yeah, well,
Like why
yeah, I think they're just trying to get the theists who might be against NASA, I think it's a waste of money, to maybe it's just
feel
like
involved?
an olive branch. It's to get them to be a part of
Yeah,
them. I don't know, but if there's Christians listening or Muslims listening, and want to come in and tell me or us why does it have any implications? Like if there's people, humans, Homo sapiens of some sort on other planets, and if they sin, do they have a savior, or does Jesus cover them?
yeah, because like my mum's still very kind of deep Christian and stuff, and we were there at Christmas, and so I'd kind of mentioned just kind of like, oh, what do you think about this? How would you respond to aliens? And we kind of normally have a kind of uh, ceasefire agreement on, and we don't talk about religious stuff because it
I see there's
doesn't go
pictures
very well.
behind you. are you a scientist of some sort?
No, just interested in it. Just kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like we're following the James Webb Telescope getting launched and that type of thing. So I'm not no kind of formal education or training or anything, but just kind of interested. But when I kind of asked my mum, like, oh, what do you make of potential alien life? And them asking priest, I'm like, oh no, it's interesting, but it's just kind of no response at all about whether there is going to be any kind of theological impact or any impact on her personally. Just like, just kind of that unsaid kind of, oh, wait and see, and I'll move the goalposts when it comes to it.
I'm trying to
It's
think.
just like,
I'm trying to
why,
think
why would you
about
commit yourself?
my huge depth of biblical knowledge. You know, it's vast, and I'm going through the whole Bible right now in my brain, and trying to think of a passage that might go against alien life, and I really can't think of any. In fact, there's maybe even passages that would hint towards alien life, well, even some type of hybrid of spiritual and human, like the Nephilim in Genesis. Maybe there's something like that, you know, because there's partly spiritual, so maybe they can do time warp and stuff and go to other planets, and who
Yeah,
knows.
yeah. But I guess it depends on literally you take Genesis and the creation story of how important the order is and how kind of explicit or complete the
Yeah,
description of what he did on what days was. But there's just so much wiggle room in everything, and there's so many different people, authors writing different times. You can pick and choose. Yeah, they'll have no problem.
yeah. Well, it's interesting. But Paul, thanks for coming in. Take care. All the best in
Happy New
2022.
Year!
Yeah. See ya. Yeah, but I am willing to take calls if someone wants to come in and talk about that because it is an interesting topic. I do think that it's likely that we're not alone. It is interesting to think like what if there are or is if there is sentient life on other planets, what does it look like? Does evolution would it take a similar path as it did here on planet Earth if the planet, you know, is fine-tuned for life like ours is? You would think there would be similar evolutionary pathways. Like would there be eyeballs? Would there be limbs, arms, hair? You would think so, right? Because hair is like to protect us from the cold. A planet could be cold. Would there be coitus? Oh man, can you imagine a planet of life without coitus? I mean, what's the point? I mean, that'd be boring. Okay, you guys know who this guy is? This is Kirk Cameron. What show was he on? Oh man, what's the name of the show that this guy used to be on? Was it not Silver Spoon? That was the blonde-haired guy. Someone help me in the live stream chat. Crab is the final form of evolution. Yeah, that's why we eat it.
Alisa, great to have you here.
It's great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
I can't believe what a small world it is. We grew up in the same area in Southern California.
Yes.
Went to schools near each other.
Yes.
And we actually have a common love for this subject of apologetics.
Yes. Yes. Very much.
And it's interesting. I was in the entertainment industry. I guess I'm still in the entertainment industry.
Nobody's told me where he got his start. No, what was the show, Erica, that he was on originally? Wasn't it a sitcom? Growing Pains. Thank you. Who's first? Last time I made a mistake and gave pine points out to the wrong person. But let me double check. Oh, I almost did it again. I think Bob Smith is the first. Bob Smith, 1,000 pine points to you. And forgive me if someone beat you. But yeah, Growing Pains. I barely remember that show. What was it even about? But if I don't remember it, it probably was a bad show.
Just have kind of a unique focus there. And you were in the entertainment industry as a CCM artist. So what was the name of the band that you were a part of?
So I was in a teen pop group called Zoe Girl, and so we basically wanted to encourage young girls who are...
No, Miss Idamir, it's not growing pains, it's growing pains. And people are still free to call in at any time and talk about anything because it's the new year. I'm in a good mood.
Some people are saying, what are you apologizing for? What is apologetics? Can you give a simple definition?
Yes, and people do make a lot of assumptions about what apologetics is, but basically it's just giving reasons for what you believe and why you believe it. So if you're a Christian and you ever told somebody why you believe Jesus was raised from the dead or why you have put your trust in Jesus, then you've already done apologetics, basically.
So those are huge questions. Why would that be interesting to you? I mean, here you are. You're out there singing about Jesus. You're part of the Zoe Girls. You're the Christian Spice Girls out there. Why do you now start studying these things? Did you have
Actually, that is a very interesting comment he just made. You are the Christian Spice Girls. I think he's right. I think Kirk Cameron is correct here. But it's interesting to note. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go there. You Christians are copying the world. You see a band and you make a Christian version of that band. You see the Spice Girls, you make a Christian version of it because you know these young girls will watch these bands and like them, but yet, you know, there's some bad themes and bad language, so you got to come up with an alternative, right? That's all you Christians are doing. Be ye not conformed to this world, but be separate from this world, saith the Lord. You don't need to copy the Spice Girls. I wonder which Spice Girl Alisa would have been. Sporty Spice? Yeah, I think she's pretty fit for her age. You know, she's an old woman. Hey, Alisa, if you ever hear this, if you're over 30, you're old. You know that, right? So just accept it. It's okay.
singing about?
I did, actually. So I grew up in a Christian home. I was a very committed Christian my whole life, but I never really thought deeply about why. Like, I knew as a kid that the Bible was God's word, but if somebody would have asked me, why do you believe that? I probably would have just said...
Yeah, see, there's so many gems in here. It's unbelievable. It just flows off their lips. I knew as a child that the Bible was the word of God. I knew it as a child. How does a child know?
Well, just because it is, or because the Bible says so, or something like that. And so I hadn't really given deep thought to the intellectual side of things until after Zoe Girl came off the road, and my husband and I were attending a church in Nashville where we were living. And we loved it, and the pastor invited me to be a part of a smaller study and discussion group after about 8 months of us attending there. And in the context of this small group, he revealed that he was actually an agnostic. And so he began to walk...
See, another gem in here. Christians, you go to a Bible study, and you have a leader of the Bible studies opening up the Bible. You don't even know they're a Christian. You go to church, Christians, and you see the pastor behind the pulpit opening up and reading from the Word of God. Do you know your pastor is a Christian? Do you know? Your elders, your deacons, how many of them are not even Christian? Oh. Now, if you are so naive to think that all your pastors and all your deacons and all your elders and all your bishops and priests and imams truly believe what you think they should believe, you be wrong.
Walk the class through essentially what you may be hearing about, this phenomenon called deconstruction, which is where Christians who grew up believing things but maybe never really critically thought about them begin to pick those things apart, explain them away, and often reject them. And so that's what happened to a lot of people in the class. Well, my husband and I decided to leave the church after a few months, and it was at that point when I was kind of isolated away, and all those doubts that he had planted began to take root. And
oh, see, another gem there. It was after she left the church and she was isolated, that's when she began to doubt. Or that what that one guy said took root. Whoa. Here's a lesson to be learned. Christians, Muslims, stay in your bubble. You leave church, you leave the mosques, you're in trouble. That's when the doubts will creep in. If you have a YouTube channel and you don't let atheists or Muslims or people of different faiths come into your channel and talk with you, then you're safe if you don't let them in. But if you let them in, you're in trouble. If you start going to other people's homes who are not thinking like you, and you actually start to like them and talk with them and understand them, you're in trouble. So don't do that.
Really grow, and it sent me into my own deconstruction, which I didn't want that to happen to me. I didn't know what was happening to me, but I just cried out to God one night, and I just said, if you're real, if you really exist, if everything I've believed my whole life is true, I have to know why and how. And so through a really cool series of events, the Lord led me to apologetics, and I began to study, and it was years. I studied for years and became really settled in my faith. And it was at that point that he called me to maybe help other people who might be in a similar position.
Yeah. There's a famous person, and I can't remember their name, who said there's a difference between doubt and unbelief. And the Bible speaks of not having a wicked heart of unbelief.
Yes.
And I know people like that, and I actually can feel the difference when I'm talking with somebody who has an honest question and they're doubting what they've believed because someone has given them a compelling argument against it. And I think that that's great, because those sorts of questions actually lead us to honest answers that can strengthen our faith.
That's right.
But a wicked...
Whoa. Now, if you're a valuer of truth, you're not just looking for answers to strengthen your faith, right? If Christianity is false, Kirk Cameron, then someone or some information, some data that will weaken your faith is great, is noble, is lovely, is wonderful, because it's leading you away from false things and towards true things. This is the problem with apologetics. This is the problem with Christianity, the bubble to begin with. It's when you doubt, the goal here is to find ways to confirm that what you believed in was correct all along. You don't look to falsify. You don't look to disconfirm what you believe. You look to confirm it. That's the exact opposite way of how iPhones are made. That's the exact opposite way of how drugs, medical drugs, are made. That's the exact opposite way of how engineering's done. When you're building a bridge, you look for ways to make it fall. You test it. You don't look for ways to make it easy for that bridge to stay up. No, you put more than enough weight on it and say, okay, did this thing work? And if it falls, it falls. And you say, oh, okay, this engineering is faulty.
wicked heart of unbelief is that settled, rooted, dig my heels in unbelief.
Okay, I got one yes to let me and Catholic in. Let's let him in. Canadian, Catholic.
You may be hearing about.
Hey, what's with Trudeau? Did you hear what he said the other day?
Well, he said a bunch of things. Yeah, I didn't vote for him, though, so.
He called people, I'm going to get political now, but he called people who were anti-vax racists. Oh, he said many of them are racist. Did you hear that?
I did, yeah.
Man, like this whole demonizing thing of people who choose not to get vaxxed, that has to stop. Do you agree?
Right. Yeah, I do. I think that, you know, my motto is love thy unvaccinated neighbor.
Yeah, I agree with you. See, look at this. This is a great start to 2022. Here you got a Christian and an atheist agreeing.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling in, Canadian Catholic.
Yeah. But I have two things, though, and I think you're not going to like either of them, unfortunately.
Okay.
I like you. You know I like you, but you're
what's not to like?
Well,
I'm an atheist, right?
Yeah, so the first thing is first. I have been. I think you're breaking your promise. You told me you'd unblock me on your chat in like around 3 months, and it's been more than 3 months.
I said I might. Okay. Let me do it right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Canadian Catholic.
That's right. You had me blocked.
Yeah. Do you remember why I blocked you?
Thought I was advertising. I wasn't, but.
Well, didn't you promise me Gary Habermas?
Yeah, we're going to be doing that in a couple of days or weeks. We're going to be doing that live stream with you.
Okay.
His mother passed away, or father, I think, and
so she's in heaven now.
I think it's his father, but I wouldn't make fun of it because I think Dr. Habermas had a very hard time coping with that loss. So I would be very.
Okay, you're gonna feel. I want you to be prepared. You're gonna feel a moment of euphoria. Okay.
Yeah.
Here it comes. You ready? It's going to be like being on a Disneyland ride. You know, when the drops, you're going to have a tingle in your belly. Here it goes.
Sure. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Now, what else did you want to talk about?
Yeah. So I think that you're completely wrong. I apologize. Again, I understand that this is going to hurt you, but I think that doubt is a species of unbelief. Again, when we're not talking about like health doubt, you are with your doubt. What you mean by doubt isn't curiosity. So it's not inquiry. By doubt, you mean unbelief, right? It's a species of unbelief. So it cannot, in principle, be okay, unfortunately. As Thomas Aquinas actually makes it.
Oh, wait a minute. You're saying all doubt is bad?
It's not. It's not only bad. It's one of the greatest sins, in fact, if it's counted as a species of unbelief.
Okay. Hang on. Is it okay to doubt Islam?
So yes, it's okay to doubt Islam.
Okay, so some doubt is good.
Not in the sense you're using the word.
No, I'm using the sense of questioning whether something is true. So is it okay to question that Islam is true?
Because in your view, doubt is not believing in the Christian faith. That's part of it, unbelief. So you don't use doubt as a method of analytic inquiry, for example. For you, the doubt you have is straightforwardly contradictory to the Christian faith. So you can't have both doubt and faith, on your view, what I understand it to be.
No, if you want to know my definition of doubt, all you have to do is ask me.
Sure, that's fine, but like I'm more interested in the concept, not just the placating definition you give, right? So I think that what you advocate for cannot in principle be okay. Not only is it not okay, I don't think it can be okay, because it's a vice. The teaching is very clearly that faith is a virtue. So you are teaching that vice is
What if
okay.
Christianity is false?
That has nothing to do with it, right?
No. If Christianity is false, then doubting, even as your definition, would be good, yes?
Well, if Christianity is false, then doubting would be good. Well, I think that in that sense, doubting wouldn't be opposed to the true faith. So this objection wouldn't work, you're right, but I still wouldn't say that doubting would be good.
But doubting Islam is good or not?
Yes, because Islam...
Well, there you go. If Christianity is as false as Islam, and if doubting Islam is good, then doubting Christianity is good.
I think that...
Is my logic right?
No, I think that that's an equivocation on doubt, because doubt here is opposed to true belief. You oppose what objectively is true belief. It's really irrelevant whether you think so or not, right? So you oppose belief in God, and the virtue, faith is a virtue. Okay, that's pretty clear. So you're advocating a vice. And by the way, according to Augustine, this is the greatest of sins.
Why is faith a virtue, I wonder? Well, why?
Because by faith we grasp things that are based on natural reasoning. We grasp things that are of divine without seeing.
So faith is a virtue because it helps us grasp things that are divine?
Sure, you could put it that way, yeah.
Why is it a virtue to grasp things that are divine?
Because that's the highest function of the intellect, which is our highest function per se. That is the purpose. The intellect is to grasp the highest truth. What is the highest truth? The divine is the highest truth.
But what does it do for us? Like, who cares?
Yeah, that's the problem, right? So we believe that there is an objective purpose in nature. So your purpose is to know the truth. It really doesn't matter whether you agree with this or not. That's how it is in nature. And you're opposed to that by advocating for unbelief. So no, doubt cannot in principle be something good. It's in fact the opposite of good. Doubt is unbelief.
Only if Christianity is true.
But in that case, then it's not like true doubt. It would be a worthy criticism. I don't think what you're doing is worthy criticism.
Okay.
It is unbelief.
Can there be worthy criticism of Christianity?
I think there could be worthy critique of Christianity. I don't know if there could be a good criticism.
What would be a worthy critique of Christianity, do you think?
Well, I guess something that would leave people with plenty to think about. So, for example, some people might just you know, I listen to some atheists from time to time, and it leaves me with plenty of good stuff to think about personally. So I guess that would be a worthy critique
Like what?
in that sense.
Be
Well,
specific.
somebody will go over and say something about, let's say, the history. Like, I had a discussion with Richard Carrier debate, and he gave me plenty to think about. Now, do I think that Jesus didn't exist? No, but I appreciate the fact that he's done some work, and it's very, very
But
interesting.
what in your life has there been a critique that has really made you doubt Christianity?
Wait, after reconverting? Oh, nothing. I'm very firm in my Christian belief. But,
so there's nothing currently or in the last few months that you've said, oh man, this is serious.
No.
Nothing at all.
No, I'm strong in my Christian faith.
There's nothing that would change your mind at this point, you think?
No, there is something that could in principle change my mind.
Okay, what's that?
Discovery that Jesus didn't exist. That could change my mind.
Well, well, okay, I understand that. If Jesus didn't exist, then he can't.
Now you're shifting the conversation to me. I'm asking why you.
Well, that's because you're so interesting.
No, I know.
Okay, ask me whatever you want. Thank you for the donation, Jesse.
Yeah. Why are you advertising vice as a virtue? That's the problem here. You are advertising vice as a virtue gratuitously.
No, the title of my live stream is "It's Okay to Doubt" in 2022.
It's not okay to doubt. It's not a good thing to doubt. It's not okay. It's not acceptable to doubt as a species of unbelief. But
I respectfully disagree.
Okay, that's fine. But more importantly, would you agree? Like, I'm going to ask you this question, and I'm not going to be condemnatory. I'm going to leave in a bit, right? I got a block, so not my wish, right? So
you got your wish.
By your lights, you would not object to the fact that if Christianity were true, you do belong in hell. You wouldn't deny that, right?
No, I would, because there's some Christians who tell me universalism is true.
No. That's not traditional Christianity. That's just soup kitchen nonsense. I'm talking about.
You just called David Bentley Hart a soup kitchen Christian?
Well, maybe he's not. He's a puzzle Christian, but I mean, like, soup kitchen Christian.
He's just confused.
Well, he's not confused.
He's David Bentley. He has 3 names in his name. What do you got? You got Canadian Catholic. That's only 2. Right. You can't compete against. He even is more articulate.
I actually have 3 names and 1 last name.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have 3 first names actually in my life. But yeah, I'm Joshua. So I'm going to, like, by your lights, it would not, like, if traditional Christianity is true, then you can't complain if you end up in hell, right?
No, I deserve it.
So you would agree that it is, if Christianity is true, the punishment would fit the crime, because
the punishment of simply denying a proposition, eternal conscious torment.
Okay, so you do not have that objection that, for example, you being in hell is unfair to you promoting vice.
No, I do think it's unfair, but if Christianity is true, then I just have to take my punishment like a man.
No, that's not what I'm asking. You say that it's unfair that you get to spend eternity in hell.
Yeah.
Or promoting vice.
Yeah.
So that's a problem, though, because you're unrepentant, right? So
yeah.
Okay, so then the problem is that argument can no longer work. If we go to Gregory, Pope Gregory the Great, the argument flows that sin is eternal and will. So you are unrepentant.
Yeah.
And as far as I can tell, if you were to die, you would never repent. You wouldn't repent. And you go to hell. And in hell, you would somewhat repent, as in you would be upset at the physical punishment you're getting.
I'm going to hell because I don't believe that Jesus Christ rose from the dead.
No, you're going to hell because of your sin.
Okay, I go to hell because of my sin. So let's name some of my sins and tell me, do you think I deserve eternal conscious torment for, let's say...
If you're unrepentant. If only you're unrepentant.
Yeah. So let's assume I'm unrepentant. So let's compare me to someone really bad, like Hitler. Oh, right. How many minutes in are we? We mentioned Hitler. Do you think I'm as bad as Hitler in my sin?
So we believe...
I've never killed a Jew.
That's fine. So we believe in degrees in hell, right? So we do believe that there is varieties of punishment in hell.
So I'll be in hell, but I'll be poolside, sipping a martini.
Right. So in hell... So my point is less to explain the doctrine of hell, which I love talking about. I'm more interested in understanding that you as a person, once you say that I consciously consent to promoting unbelief as virtue, unrepentantly, it seems like you can no longer claim that it's unfair that you're going to hell, for example, right?
Why? I can still claim that it's unfair.
Well, not consistently, because it seems like in will you are unrepentant, right?
Yeah, but if I tell you, okay, here's my pen, it's red, and you don't believe me. You say, no, it's blue. And I say, well, either you believe this is red.
That's not unbelief of a religious faith.
I know it's about a pen, but I'm just giving an analogy here. If you say this is blue and you're unrepentant in the fact that this is red, and I say, okay, you have to go to hell for eternity because of this, because you don't accept this as red.
Yeah, that's not a fair comparison because the punishment is demanded by natural law. Okay, so the punishment you're undergoing in hell is demanded by the vices.
I don't care about any of that. This is what I'll promise you, though.
It doesn't matter if you care. It doesn't matter if you care.
Right, and it doesn't matter if Christianity is true, and every knee will bow, every tongue confess. I will look at God and say, yeah, okay, I was wrong. You're right. Send me to hell. I'll take my punishment like a man.
But you do
or a
believe
woman.
But it's not unfair for you to be punished.
No, I still think it's unfair. But hey, it is what it is.
All right. Well, I mean, I disagree with that, but I gotta.
Yeah, you can disagree. That's fine. Okay, take care, Canadian Catholic.
Right,
be good with your unblocking. Go and sin no more.
All right. God bless you. God bless you.
Science bless you. Jay, I think I remember Jay. Hey, Jay, you're on. I'll let you get a 7 set. Oh, it's going well. Happy 2022.
You too.
What would you like to say to me or ask me?
Well, about doubts, as you said. Yeah, it's okay to doubt. Yeah, all right.
You agree?
Yeah, 100%. I'm not a Christian. But
okay.
The idea that let's suppose I'm a Muslim, so you don't want to doubt your religion. Everyone gonna stay in his religion, and no one gonna change his religion, and no one gonna know the truth.
Yeah, that's true. See, you get it. That's exactly what I've said, is that Christians hope Muslims doubt. Muslims hope Christians doubt. Jews hope Christians doubt. Everybody hopes that the other person doubts, but yet they kind of poo-poo the idea. Well, they
don't follow their own Christ when he said, "Look at your the stick in your eyes before you look at the stick in the others."
There are Christians who will say doubt can be good because it helps strengthen your faith, but I think that's the wrong way to go about it. I think you look to disconfirm. If what you believe is true, it will stand the test of disconfirmation. So if you're a Muslim or a Christian doubting, you don't go to the imam, you don't go to the Christian apologist, you go to me or you, and then you have conversations about, or you read books from opposing views.
Yeah, what I did exactly is when I read like the Quran, I just put it under the test. Prove yourself to me. That's what I do. Exactly what I do with the Bible. I did the same thing. Prove yourself to me if this book is correct or not. But none of them.
So you used to be a Muslim?
Yeah.
How long have you been out?
Well, 2 years. 2
years.
I read Christianity the same way. The same test I applied to Christianity, it failed also the same way. Even I can agree with the idea that there's supernatural stuff.
Can you give some advice to some Christians, Muslim listeners right now, Muslim listeners who may be doubting
Islam?
Yeah, Islam. Can you give some advice to help them with their doubts? Meaning that what could you say that's in theme with this live stream? It's okay to doubt. What would you say to them on how they should go forwards, what they should not worry about, what they should worry about?
Many of them, they hold on to their religion because they want to believe in God. That's the idea. So if the text doesn't agree with the reality and you want to believe in God, just believe in God. You don't have to stick with this book.
See,
disagree with everything.
Jay, that's very, very smart, because what you've done there is you've given Muslims an out. You're giving them a safe retreat. A retreat to safety. Yeah. They can dive into the trenches and feel safe and protected. So they don't have to give up the idea of God, they just give up the idea of Islam.
Exactly. With the Christians, when they do the idea that they try to prove that God exists. Okay, I can agree with you, but you can't prove this book from God. That's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
It's a really big problem.
Any bad things happened to you when you left Islam?
No, but because no one knows. I mean, that's why.
No, but were you persecuted, or did you lose your family, friends?
No, because I didn't tell them. I still didn't tell anyone.
So your family thinks you're still a Muslim?
Yeah, exactly.
Would you give that advice to other Muslims that not to tell?
Of course, it depends on the country that you live in. If
Yeah.
you're in the Middle East, of course, don't do that. If you're in America or other open countries, maybe it's okay. It depends also on your family, if they're very religious or if they care about their religion too much. I mean, I know a guy from UK, he left the entire country because his own family wanted to kill him in UK.
I just read in Canada there was an honor killing. A young girl didn't want to wear her hijab, and her dad killed her.
Yeah, in the Middle East, it's
Can you explain that to me? Like, what's the deal with the Middle Eastern culture or the Islamic culture and the idea of honor? Like, why is honor such a huge deal?
Okay, like, let's see about sex, for example, right? You must, if a woman want to have sex, she must get married to have sex. Right. Other than that, she's gonna be killed by honor. You know, like the old days in the Middle East, they still have these things, like the Jews.
Yeah, but in the West here with Christianity, for example, if a very Christian mother and father, very traditional, very conservative, if their daughter gets knocked up, they're not going to kill their daughter. Why? Because of honor. They're going to say, you sinned, you need to repent to God, ask for forgiveness. But they're not going to, like, what is the deal with honor in the Middle East? Why are they willing to kill their own child because of it?
Yeah, many reasons. Because, the Middle East is like, that's why they call it the third world, because we still in the 7th century. That's why. So the family is like all of the countries are like one family. So if one come out of this family, he's going against the family. So that's why they want to kill him. Like if you're not with the country, you're against the country. So we have to kill you.
But there's within the Middle East, there's football teams, right? Like soccer, we call it soccer. Yeah. If you say to your dad likes one soccer team or a football team, and you say, you know what, I disavow that football team, and now this is my favorite football team. I'm only going to cheer for this football. Your dad's not going to kill you over leaving that football team, right? Why is it they kill because of not wearing a scarf or getting or having coitus?
Yeah, for women. A man, if he rape a woman or he do a sex out of marriage, it's okay. But for women, because as I told you, we still deal with women the same way the old people deal with women, like they are second.
They're property.
Class. Yeah, property and second class. That's why the women are still, treated bad. Like this is, I mean, it's not, it's not like it's not like the West. Like a man is equal with a woman. No, it's not. That's why.
Do you think there's hope for the Middle East that they'll come out of the 7th century into the 21st century? 22nd century? What century are we in? Is there hope?
Century. Well, I think, with the internet, the same way it happened in the West when they, Martin Luther and these.
Can you be a prophet? Can you be a prophet for me today and make a prediction when this will happen?
I think 18 years from now, it's going to be done.
18 years? Wow, you're an optimist.
Yeah, with the internet, I think, because everything is fair and is very quick.
Yeah, but in Pakistan, you can't watch the PineCreek channel.
I'm not talking about I'm talking about the Arab, the Middle East.
Yeah, me too. Like in many places in the Middle East, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to watch PineCreek today," right? Like YouTube is really restricted, if not totally banned.
No, it depends on the country. I think it's okay on the internet. Many countries, Arab countries, it's okay because But maybe, yeah, you're right.
Is there anybody in the live stream chat right now from Pakistan? Please show yourself. I want to know if it's possible to watch PineCreek from Pakistan. I wonder, like I heard, what's that a Muslim apologist name? He said that we need to take names of certain atheists from the West, and if they ever come in our countries, take them. He didn't come out and say it that way, but like if
I know people from the Middle East that they are non-religious and they're trying to make some kind of an agreement to make him to change their identity and leave the religion and make a new ID without their religion on their ID. So they're trying to convince the country by making agreement, a big agreement.
Are you willing to say what country you're in or no?
Well, no.
No? Okay, that's fine. Well, Jay, thanks for stopping in.
Well, thank you. I want to ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
Questions, if you don't mind.
Okay.
About, I'm from an Islamic point of view, and I read a lot of Christianity and stuff. I mean, what the hell is going on?
With what?
Trinity, Unitarian, Oneness, Jehovah's Witness, Mormon. A lot of denominations. I mean, if they don't agree on their own God, what he is he three, or he's one, or he's Trinity? How can we be burned in hell for something no one understands?
Well, you burn in hell for your sin, as the previous caller said. Canadian Catholics.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in this. If you don't believe in the Son, you're gonna be saved. So is he God?
Well, okay.
I read the Bible. But
your question is about the diversity within Christianity, right? Like why there's so many different things.
The Bible itself.
But isn't there diversity in Islam?
We don't. But okay, I'm with you with that. But we don't argue about what God is.
Are you sure? You don't argue about
what God is? Is he 3% or he a one person?
Okay, on that one topic, yeah, sure, I would agree. But
the other stuff, you're right. Yeah, I'm with you with that. Like
well, the Trinity came about to solve a problem, and that problem was how do you reconcile Jesus's death? His death can only have meaning if he was God himself, and so that was a problem for them. And they say, okay, well, a deity can't die, God can't die, but maybe one person of God can die, and with God still living. And so the Trinity was just a convoluted way to solve that problem of the meaning of the death and resurrection of Jesus.
Yeah, but it make a lot of more problem than that.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of problem. I mean, for example, like he didn't claim to be God. Okay, he has a lot of stuff divine. He made himself the Son of God. I mean,
well, you don't watch Sean McDowell, do you?
No.
Oh yeah. Oh, he has a 30-second video of 5 reasons. If you look at your hand, H stands for and A stands for. He has a nice acronym of to explain that.
I mean, yeah,
Jesus did claim to be God.
I tried to see that, but it doesn't make sense. You know why? Because in Acts, when you read the Acts, how they teach the gospel. They were saying that he is the Son of God. He's a man, died for us, that he's the Messiah, but he didn't claim that he is God. That's a problem there.
But he forgave sins. Only God can forgive sins. Right?
Okay, but it's still.
And he told the waters to be calm. He got out of the boat, he walked on water. Only God can do that.
The problem, if I am a Jew or I am a Muslim and you tell me to worship a man, this man has to be clear with me and say I am God. That's a problem. He didn't do that. He came around and say, worship the Father. Your Father and my Father.
Well, he said before Abraham I am in the book of John.
This proves that he is a Son of God, divine Son of God. This is not proof that he is God. Yeah.
You know what's interesting is, and I don't think a lot of Christians realize this, but there's a difference between the Son of God, the Son of Man, the Messiah.
Exactly.
They're all can be different things.
That's the problem. I read all this stuff. That's a bigger problem. It's Son of Man in the Jewish understanding and in the Greek understanding. So
Yeah.
it's divine. So if he is the Son of God, that doesn't mean he is God. If he's the Messiah, that doesn't mean he's divine.
Yeah.
So they put all this in in one concept, and still Jesus prayed.
Isn't it true that we're all sons of God? And then when you become a Christian, in a sense, you are divine because Jesus lives in you.
That's the problem there. So if his disciples can do better actions than him, when he said you're gonna do better miracles than me, this is another problem. I mean, if they can resurrect the dead, I mean, that doesn't prove he's God.
Again. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And I mean, yeah.
Although I do think it's pretty good evidence if you either have God on your side and you're like a prophet. Yeah, how would you prove you're God? Because God could, whatever power God has, he could give to a person, right?
Right. He said that. He said all the authority in heaven and earth was given to me.
So how would you prove that you're God?
That's the problem. I notice how flawed is the narrative. I mean, he can't prove himself as God. At the same time, he doesn't want them to believe that God is a man. At the same time, he doesn't want them to he is the Father. But at the same time, he wanna convince them that God is one. But at the same time, I'm the Son of God. But I'm not the Father. So it's complicated.
But there are Unitarian Christians. Do you think when you left Islam that were you tempted to become a Unitarian Christian or even a Jew?
Well, it doesn't. Unitarian, they cut off a lot of verses, like he emptied himself. He's talking about the Christ. He emptied himself, taking on a form of a servant. So he was before creation. And if you ask any Greek scholars, he's gonna tell you, yeah, he is, or the Word was with God, and all these verses prove that he is a being, was before he was a man. But that doesn't prove he's God again.
Yeah.
So they cut off these verses to prove themselves that they're right. At the same time, with the oneness, they do the same thing. The Trinitarian, they don't want to make another God with God, so they forced the idea of that Jesus is God. So they made this complex God that doesn't agree with the Old Testament.
Yeah. Well, Jay, thanks for calling in. This conversation has stimulated my mind enough that I'm going to play that Sean McDowell clip. So you watch it in the live stream chat with me, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So let me let you go here.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in. Hey, Omar, hang on a second here. Let's. Sean McDowell is going to clean this up here. Did Jesus claim to be God?
Jesus claimed to be God, and I'll show you with my hand. You see, the H stands for honor. Jesus was given the honor that was meant for God alone. His disciples worshiped him, and they prayed to him as God. The A stands.
The disciples worshiped Jesus and prayed to him as God? But didn't Jesus command the disciples to go off and pray? Like to go away from him and pray? And how did they exactly worship him? Well, I guess, what's the difference between worship and adore? Like you can give someone a foot massage and that could be viewed as an act of worship, and it can also be viewed as just an adoration. Okay, so sorry, Sean McDowell, H is out. H is gone.
For attributes. Jesus claimed to be pre-existent before the founding of the world, and he was present with his apostles wherever they were.
Okay, so Jesus claimed to be, actually, if you look at the scriptures, Jesus claimed to exist before Abraham, not before the beginning of the world. Am I wrong, Sean? Before Abraham, I am, says in the Gospel of John. But does it say that Jesus was coexistent with God in the Gospel of John? Like, I'm asking sincere questions. I could be wrong about the scriptures. It's been a while, but I don't think what you just said is true.
They were present. The N stands for the names. Although Jesus wasn't called the English word God, when Thomas saw him after the resurrection, he says, "My Lord and my God."
Yeah. I think some women have said that to me too. My Lord, my God, PineCreek. Okay, that might be the best one. Let me see. My Lord, my God. Where is that in Scripture? John 20:28. What's the context of that? Jesus appears to Thomas. Put your fingers here. So Thomas put his fingers into Jesus's holes. Because you have seen me, you believe. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet believe. See, Jesus is promoting belief without seeing here. And Thomas said to him, my Lord and my God. And it's capital G. Yeah, that's probably the best one you got so far. But let me say, for the record, the Gospel of John is the latest gospel ever written. Maybe it was written, I think Bart Ehrman would say this, maybe this verse that you're talking about, Sean, was written for the sole purpose to support the idea of the Trinity. Like, for example, the first gospel is the Gospel of Mark. Like, just hear me out, Christians. Tell me if I'm being unreasonable. The first gospel, many scholars say, is the Gospel of Mark. And if Jesus actually said, if someone said to Jesus, my Lord and my God, isn't that pretty important? Why wouldn't Mark have that? The very first gospel. Why didn't Peter tell Mark to write that? That's really important stuff. Am I wrong? Am I being unreasonable here? But no, we got to wait, 60 years later? Yeah, not 60, 30, 40 years later? And then it's written? I don't know. Like all these saints, behold, I am the Lamb of God. Before Abraham, I am my Lord and my God. The Thomas story. Like, why isn't the Thomas story in the Gospel of Mark? These are really troubling questions. Because these are really important stories of history if it happened. Okay, next one.
The D is for the deeds. Jesus did the things by his own authority only God can do, such as forgive other people who sinned against.
See, this is a weak one. This is very, very weak. Because there are Roman Catholic priests today who say, I forgive you, my child, go and sin no more. I mean, it's like people can forgive other people on behalf of God. They're called priests. And those priests are not God. So strike that one off.
Against God and did miracles in his name.
Yeah, miracles, same thing. In his name. Moses did miracles. Elijah, Elisha did miracles. They're not God.
S stands for seat. Jesus says he'll eventually sit on the throne of God and judge all.
No. You lie. This is like the box of lies. Does it say that?
Jesus says he'll eventually sit on the throne of God and...
I thought it said he will sit on the right side of God. Am I wrong? Thank God for Google. Jesus sitting on the throne. Okay, Revelation 4. I apologize, Sean. After these things, I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven, at the voice which I heard like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, come up here. I will show you the things that must take place. Immediately I was in the Spirit. Oh, hang on. Who's talking here? Immediately I was in the Spirit, and behold, a throne set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. Okay, this, I take it back. I think I'm right. How do you know this is the throne of God and not just a different throne? The throne which John saw was set in heaven. When we think about a throne, we think of royalty, authority. What if there's more than one throne? And what about the verse I brought up, sitting at the right hand of God? And does Jesus have buttocks in heaven? Like, in order to sit, you have to have a bum. Does Jesus have a bum in heaven? Inquiring minds want to know.
And judge all mankind. Jesus claimed to be God in his words and in his deeds. The next time you look at your hand, remember it's an indication that Jesus claimed to be.
Yeah, Jesus claimed to be God. It would have been much simpler if Jesus, but see, even when Jesus says, when you look at the Father, when you look at me, you see the Father. Like a non-God could say that because I'm doing the will of the Father. The Father lives in me. And all the miracles could be God giving power to a person and forgiving sins. Well, I'm God's ambassador, so I'm forgiving your sins on behalf of God. The throne thing, the best one you have there is when Thomas says, my Lord, my God. But the thing is, Thomas could be wrong. And even if Thomas was wrong, just because Jesus didn't correct him doesn't mean he's God. Just because Jesus was silent. That's an argument from silence, right? Yeah. I think I'm right here. I think your hand is nushed, nada, nilch. It's withered. Your hand is withered. Do I have any callers? No, I don't have any callers. Okay, let's get back to the real Christian here, Kirk Cameron.
Have an aversion to God and to his word. Settled, rooted, dig my heels in unbelief. I have an aversion to God and to his word, or to the
I'll be with you in a second, Omar.
Gospel. And I think that's where we get into that Romans 1, what can be known of God is clear and obvious to people.
Okay, this is really interesting. What can be known of God is clear and obvious to people. Is it clear through nature that God is a Trinity? Is it clear through nature that God became flesh? Is it clear through nature that God died and rose again? Is it clear through nature that this God is omnipotent, omniscient, omnibenevolent? Couldn't someone say that it's clear by nature that God is not omnibenevolent? That he does like a little pain and suffering once in a while, and he actually wants it to happen? Like this whole idea of, oh, I see a tree, therefore God. I mean, okay, if you're going to say that, but you can't get much more than, okay, it's a creator being. It stops there, right? You can't even look at the beauty of the planet and say, well, that means God is beautiful, because then you have to say God's ugly, because there's a lot of ugliness on the planet.
Conscience bears witness, and yet they suppress the truth in unrighteousness because they love the things of darkness, and there's that settled unbelief.
Yeah, I
all you atheists listening, you love darkness, right?
agree. And I think a lot of people are confused about what faith is. They think that doubt is somehow the opposite of faith. But you're right. It's not doubt that's the opposite of faith. It's unbelief. Because doubt...
Yeah, this is what Canadian Catholic was saying.
...can only bubble up within the context of belief. You can only doubt something if you believe it. And I think it's actually an essential part, if it's honest doubt, if you're really wanting to seek truthful answers, it's a part of becoming a mature Christian in your faith to say, well, let me recheck that. Why do I think that? And then walking through that and seeking truth. But there can be types of doubt that somebody's just really looking for reasons to justify the unbelief that's already there.
Justifying the unbelief that's already there. Can it work the other way, Alisa? You're justifying the belief that's already there. You're just looking to confirm what you already believe. How do we solve this problem? How do we solve the problem of people just trying to justify? Like, there's a lot of atheists who listen to atheist channels to justify their decision to leave Islam or Christianity. It's a true story. They come on my channel and they feel good. I left Christianity a year ago, and when I watch PineCreek, I'm just so sure now that I made the right decision. And then there's Christians or people who become Christians, and then they go on Alisa Childers' channel and they listen to her content and they go, I feel so justified now that I made the right decision to accept the Lord Jesus as my personal Savior. We got a problem. How do we fix this problem of just looking to confirm what we already believe? Well, the answer to that problem is you look to disconfirm it. If you're a Christian, you stop watching Christian channels. You watch channels like mine or Derek from MythVision. Derek, I saw that you donated. Thank you for the donation. If you're still here, thank you. But you go to other channels where people don't think like you do, and you challenge your beliefs. This is why I very rarely watch atheist channels. I'm often on Christian channels or even Muslim channels listening. I think that's how we solve that problem. You get a whole bunch of biases together, and then you try to solve the problem.
And that would be a different thing.
So, Alisa, it's apparent to me, and I think to people who are watching you, that you're not squirming in your chair, uncomfortable, hoping I don't ask you a difficult question that you can't answer. You seem to be confident in your faith. And this is a person who has just told us that you had so many doubts, that you were actually moving maybe toward an agnosticism that you didn't want to move toward. So what are some of the big ones?
She didn't want to move towards it. See, this is the problem. If you have these emotional desires to either want or not want to move, it's the horse and ride. It's the elephant and the rider, as Jonathan Haidt said. You can be a rider on that elephant and say, I really want to go right. Come on, elephant, let's go right. If that elephant wants to go left, good luck, rider. You're not going to move that elephant. So when Alisa Childers had this pain and turmoil, like she says she's drowning in the ocean of doubt, that is her elephant saying, no, we need to get back to Christianity. This is where we need to go because this is so uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. But her mind was the rider saying, but these doubts, how do I know the Bible is reliable? Blah, blah, blah.
We're rocking your world.
Yeah, for me, the most foundational one had to do with the Bible, because I had lived my whole life to the best of my ability according to the Word of God. And so we did a lot of street ministry as a kid. I would go out to Hollywood Boulevard and pass out tracts and do all that kind of stuff. And so I met a lot of atheists. I didn't grow up in a Christian bubble in that sense. I met Satanists and Wiccans and all kinds of different people. But nothing they said ever rattled me, because I just was able to dismiss it and say, well, the Holy Spirit hasn't revealed it to them, or they just don't believe in the Bible. But it was when this pastor, who had really taken months to earn my respect and trust.
See? This is the key. A Christian listening to me right now, nothing I'm going to say is going to make a difference unless they respect me. And how do I gain their respect? Well, sometimes because I say something funny, and then they laugh. And I go, I kind of like that PineCreek guy. Maybe I'll listen a little longer. Or I say something that they agree with about their own worldview, about their own scriptures. Hey, Doug's not a total dunce. He kind of knows some stuff. He's wrong here and here and here, of course, but he's right here. And you just get a little bit of respect. And then, but that's so dangerous, right? Because Alisa respected this pastor. She actually gave him a fair hearing after that.
Was able to intellectually knock the legs out from underneath the Bible. I found myself with no place to really stand. And so that was a huge just batch of questions I went through first. Like, do we have an accurate copy of what was recorded, specifically with the New Testament? And how do we know that even if we have an accurate copy, that what they were saying is actually truthful about what happened regarding Jesus and some of the events?
Yeah, you don't know. This is the thing. Like, you ask even New Testament historians, they will admit they probably don't have the first 100 copies of the New Testament. They probably don't, at least not the first 10. So you can have 1 million manuscripts that are as consistent as the printing press, that all are the same. That doesn't mean that what they're sourced from is true. And even if you did have the originals of the New Testament, it still doesn't mean it actually happened in the past, right? Right.
surrounding that. So that was probably the biggest one for me, the biggest question, because once I settled that question, of course the existence of God first, but when moving on to the Bible, once I settled that question, then it was really just, it was a lot smoother for me. A lot of the other doubts and questions I had just didn't feel quite as pressing.
That's right, because all of the other tenets of the faith, whether we're talking about the
yeah, for atheists listening who weren't raised in this, they're going, what is wrong with these people? Why do they think this book has anything to do with a creator deity in the first place? And that's a really good question. It's really hard to explain if you have not been indoctrinated in it, or if you haven't had some really amazing personal experience that you attribute to God. It's really hard to explain this, of why they value, even the Roman Catholics, why they value these texts in the first place. Someone claims to be God, someone claims to do miracles, and it's written down in a book. Boom, it's powerful. Why? What's going on here?
resurrection, or we're talking about, I don't know, pick your question. It's ultimately going to be rooted and anchored by whether or not the scriptures.
Hey, Omar, you can call in, and I'll let you in.
Are accurate, reliable historical documents.
Yeah, that's right.
So what was it that brought you back around?
Yeah, these are reliable historical documents. How do you tell the difference between history and fiction, Kirk Cameron? What things do you look for? Okay, Omar. How are you doing, Omar?
Hey, Doug. How's it going?
Good. It's been a while, right?
Yeah, it has been. Happy New Year, my man.
Yeah, to you too. You're the guy who sent me the list of 15 reasons why the Quran is the word of God,
Oh,
or
no, just why Islam.
or
Why
why?
Islam. Why I believe in Islam.
Oh, okay.
But I just let's just comment on the video for now. Just your title, the doubt. I think doubt is quite essential to faith. Like what she was saying, the girl, it was quite reasonable. The idea that it's if you're really doubting something, and you want to make sure that, hey, let's see if my doubt is real or not, or let's see if what I really believe in is true. It's good to question, and when I have people that come and want to learn under me, the first things I ask them, if they're Muslim, is why are you a Muslim? Why do you believe the Quran is from God? These are questions that I have to ask, because I need them to challenge their own mind. This is something that doesn't happen.
Do you often get bad answers?
All the time. All the time. There's like,
what's an example of a bad answer for the question, why do you believe the Quran's from God?
Because the Quran says so.
Okay.
That's the worst. That's the worst answer. And then I've gotten, why are you Muslim? Because I was born this way. So you never really thought about it. You just went along with it. Never really realized why this is real, why this is true. Like conviction there's a difference between faith and conviction. I think me and you, we touched on this before. Like, let's say, for example, you have faith, and then you find evidence. You keep finding evidence that goes against your faith, like against that faith that you have. Any rational person or intellectually honest person should let go of that faith if they keep seeing evidence, correct?
Yeah, but then they come up with excuses to make it fit reality. Like, for example, many Christians, they will look at the prophecies in the Old Testament of the Messiah to come, like Psalm 22 or Isaiah 53, and then when you bring up problems, like, well, this is not even in the future tense, this is talking about someone in the Old Testament, not Jesus, they'll say, but it's a dual prophecy, it has two functions. Or they'll say pierced, doesn't mean like lions circling around you, nipping at your hands and feet. It really means gouged, so they'll have ways out.
Yeah, 100%. So
now, and I'd say, if you agree with that, I would say that Muslims do the same thing.
Honestly, you would think that some Muslims do that, no doubt. But then, like me, for example, if we're talking about me personally, I have been let's say for the past decade or so, I've been focusing on radical opposing ideas in order for me to open my mind and to broaden my horizon. But that has to be set on a certain premise. My premise, Islam's premise, the right premise. You know, if it's
why
not
does
on
it have
that
to
premise, then
why does it have to be set on the Islam premise?
because that's what I'm judging. That's what I'm trying to judge.
But what if
So
Islam's false?
Well, if it's false, then like I said, if there were reasons for me to leave it, then any intellectual, honest person should leave it. You know, because if they don't, then you can call that faith that they have blind.
What
It's
would
straight
be
up
a
blind
good
faith.
reason to leave Islam, in your opinion?
Good reason to leave
Like, be
Islam.
specific.
Honestly, the moment we kind of figure out that we can just be immortal, that would probably take it. Because Islam makes it very clear about death being a stage. That everyone dies, there's no escape.
Christianity says that too, but they both can't be correct.
Yeah, well, yeah. So we can we can talk about Christianity for a second if you want.
No, I want to keep it on Islam because you're a Muslim, but I'm just making the point that a God could exist and Islam false, and we're still mortal beings. Like, what would it take for you to say, okay, here's reality, here's what the Quran says, they're in conflict. Like, is there any specific thing that you can think of and you say, no, this can't be from God?
From Islam, specifically Islam.
Yeah.
Honestly, if it comes to the Quran, I don't see anything. Maybe Hadith there are, but then I don't believe Hadith is from God to begin with. It's made by people, so like it's made by people who have compiled it over.
Like, for example, I've heard there's a prophecy in the Quran that talk about end times, or that some kid would not die. Do you know which one I'm talking about? I'm not as familiar with the Quran as
that's not in the Quran.
That's in the Hadith.
Like that. It's probably in a Hadith. Yeah. See, the Quran is very careful with stuff like that. It won't put itself out there. There are prophecies in the Quran that have already come true during the time of the Prophet. Those are prophecies that he has said, But other than that,
is the embryology thing in the Quran, or is that in the Hadith as well?
It's also in the Quran, yeah.
Okay, that's in the Quran. So I remember studying that years ago, and I forget what exactly, but I remember thinking this is false. And
also,
well, like I said, I don't remember, but there was one stage where but the thing is, I know. At the time, I knew how Muslims get around this, and they said, "Well, it doesn't mean this literally." So this is the problem you have, I think.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I've gotten this contention before. People say that flesh is not first, or bone is not first and just flesh, like something like that. But then they don't consider the what's it called? That's the exoskeleton cells, like skeletal cells. Like these are bones, it's cartilage. We start off cartilage, which is bones. So in Arabic, there's no word for cartilage. Like classical Arabic, it's bone. Bone is the same thing. So that's where the contention usually comes from. They say, hey, it's flesh first and then bone. It's not bone and then flesh.
But doesn't God know the difference between cartilage and bone?
Yeah, but I'm saying the Arabic language, bone, the word bone is the same.
Right, but God knows the difference between bone and cartilage. And couldn't he have come up, if this is his word, you would think he could have come up with a different word to use other than bone.
100%.
But he didn't.
I'm guessing. I don't know of another word. I don't know of another. I'll have to actually look.
He could have said like bone even. That would have been better.
It wouldn't have been the same. It's a different effect. It's a different word. It's a different kind of
right. But when you say something's like bone, you're saying it's not bone, but it's similar to bone. And so, to me, this just reeks of people.
Cartilage is bone, though. It is bone. It's a type of bone. So that you're not really saying, you're not incorrect by calling it bone either. Like if you're calling a cat or a dog, for example, a dog, you're calling it pooch, right? Or a puppy, it's still a dog, right? It's just a different name for it. Or, you know, it doesn't really change the meaning. But I wanted to ask you something. So let's say, you know, you're familiar with the story of Moses, right?
Yeah.
And how he split the sea. So let's say me and you, Doug, we're in Egypt. Life is horrible. Pharaoh's just like raping us, destroying us. And then all of a sudden comes Moses. He says, hey, fellow people, I'm a man from God, etc., etc. I'm here to save you. Me and you, we're not really, you know, we're doubting this guy, but, you know, life is already pretty bad. So
Speak
we're
right
like,
into the mic. Speak right into the mic because you're getting a little quiet at times.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're kind of skeptical, but we're like, you know what? Life is already bad as is, so might as well just go. So we go. And then we get to the cliff or the sea, and we look, we're like, man, Moses screwed us. It's the sea, Pharaoh's right behind us, we're about to die. And the next thing you know, he opens the sea, and we pass. We turn around, we see Pharaoh get drowned.
Mm-hmm.
And then sea closes, and we're safe.
Mm-hmm.
Would you, Doug, ever doubt Moses again?
I would give him the benefit of the doubt, but just because someone's right about one thing or does something amazing one time doesn't mean that will always happen.
His claim is that I did this through God.
Yeah,
God gave me the ability to open this stuff.
Right, but even in the Old Testament, there's times where God did not do what Moses wanted.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so that, I get your point. I would say, wow, this would have made me think that there is a God, and that this God is using this person to do amazing things. And so
now, you know what they did? They believed in a calf, right? They took the calf right after they got saved, and they believed in it, despite what they saw. And then when Moses came back and saw that they were worshiping the calf, he went nuts.
Yeah, but the Jews believed in an ark. I mean, one's living and one's made of wood. Like, what's the difference?
The Ark of the Covenant was it supposed to be like a god on earth kind of thing?
Yeah, and someone could say the same thing about the calf.
The calf is an idol.
The
ark, they never.
Some would call the ark an idol.
Did they pray to the ark?
No, but if they touched it, they would shrivel up and die, unless you were a Levite.
Yeah. See, like.
Very superstitious really thinking. Yeah, is there really true? Is any of this really true? See, this is the thing, Omar. Like, I think what we're talking about right now is just stories made up by men. I don't think any of this happened in history. I think what the parting of the Red Sea, maybe it was a period in fall where there was little strong winds and the Red Sea dried up enough that people could walk through it. You know, there's a lot of naturalistic explanations that one could come up with that, you know, put it in a fantastical realm. These are, in my opinion, made up stories. Same with the Quran. It's men's way to try to make sense of the world around them. In fact, when I asked you the question, what would confirm Islam for you or the Quran for you, I really didn't get a specific answer. You mentioned mortality, but why do you even believe this has to do with a God in the first place? Like, I know the common answers about the miracle of the Quran and linguistics, but you got to admit, this is just subjective. I mean, this is not even close to being powerful. Why do you think Muhammad had anything to do with the creator God of the universe? Just because he came out of a cave and said so?
Definitely not. A lot of people doubted him. He even doubted himself, but a lot of people doubted him at first.
Okay.
People that weren't.
What changed that doubt?
What changed that doubt? They were just guided. See, that's the thing. Till today, that same thing happens. There's so many people that I've heard stories. I've seen people. I've talked to people who've had completely, like, they've hated Muslims. They despised Islam. and like would say the most atrocious stuff about Muhammad. But then next thing you know, they're Muslim.
No, but
and it's weird.
But let's stay focused on Muhammad and the Quran. Muhammad, you said Muhammad even doubted himself.
In the beginning, yeah, he doubted himself.
Okay, what changed his mind that this was from God?
What changed his mind?
What changed Muhammad's mind from doubt to, oh, God really did speak to me?
Well, he got another revelation eventually, but at first,
but he could have doubted that one too. What changed his mind?
I guess. So in the beginning, when he first got it, we've talked about this, me and you, before. When he first got it in the beginning, like the first revelation that came to him, he didn't know what was going on. He didn't know what was happening to him. It was a humanistic reaction. He was scared, and then he got confronted. He got consulted by his wife. He also got consulted by her uncle, who was a Christian at the time, and he told him that this is the same archangel that came to Moses, and he said that your people are going to drive you out. They're gonna hate you. They're gonna do this, and he was so shocked. He was like, "They're gonna do that to me?" Like he was called the trustworthy, the truthful one. So like he was so confused that they were gonna drive me out. And that's what happened. 13 years later, he was forced to leave because they tried to assassinate him.
Okay, you mentioned that he doubted that he even spoke to God or God spoke to him, and then he got another revelation, and through confirmation from his wife and others that he started to believe that this was really from God. But couldn't you say that about anybody on the street today who has a vision, who are mentally ill, and they said, "I saw so and so." And they go, is this real? Am I seeing? Did I hear what I heard? Did I see what I see? And then they have the next day another vision of the same person. Does it, just because it happened twice, and if someone's feeding their hallucinations, their visions, maybe even as a joke, or they're as superstitious as this person is, or as mentally ill as this person is, does that mean it's actually true?
If it happened twice, that's different. But this is going on for 23 years. It started a movement. People started dying.
How do you know it went on for 23 years?
Because that's how long it took, from 40 until 63. That's when he died. He died right after the revelation.
But you're basically believing a text that says this happened for 23 years, right?
Well, biographers. I guess
that was written how many years after his death? And can't someone be mentally ill for 23 years?
And start a movement like Islam?
Yes.
That we still till today here and
you know who the founder of Scientology is?
Well, if you're comparing Muhammad to anyone, have you ever?
Ron Hubbard was kind of crazy. And he started a pretty big movement here in the U.S. Joseph Smith was kind of crazy, and he started a huge movement here in the U.S.
You know what the crime is? The crime is the people that follow him blindly. But I can't say the same thing about Muhammad. I'll give you an example, a quick example. We talked about this briefly before, about language. The Arabs were very proud of their language. But then when he was saying these words, these Quranic words, they had no idea what he was saying. Not what he was saying. They had no idea where he was getting these words from, to the extent that they were calling it magic. They were saying, this man, he casts spells on you. He casts spells to the extent that he turns your father against son, husband against wife. He's a soothsayer. Don't come into
Omar,
Mecca.
this comes straight out of the New Testament. The authors who wrote that, they knew the New Testament. There's something very similar in the New Testament. They're just copying.
But that's not in the Quran. I'm telling you, this is what you read in biographies.
Yeah, the Hadith, right?
Biographies are. I'm talking let's say Martin Ling's biography or Leslie Hazelton's biography of Muhammad.
Right, but why do you think? But why do you believe these biographies?
Well, these are intellectual individuals that have no hidden agenda.
No hidden agenda? Isn't the purpose of these biographies to promote Islam?
I doubt it.
You doubt it.
Leslie Hazelton is an agnostic Jew. Karen Armstrong is a Christian. Like, why would they? They're just being academics.
Yeah, but where did they get their information from?
Oh, probably from the Islamic sources. Yeah,
yes,
of course, our traditions.
They're just repeating what the Islamic sources said, which is their goal was to promote Islam.
The Islamic sources.
They don't believe. I don't think these scholars you're talking about actually believe that a God has anything to do with this.
Oh, definitely not. If they did, they would have been Muslim, right?
Right. And so all they're doing, doing is repeating the beliefs of Muslims, just like a Mormon scholar who's not a Mormon is just repeating the beliefs of Joseph Smith and his followers. That's all. That doesn't mean it's true.
It's not about true. It's about, are these accounts actually correct or not?
Well, that's about truth. Yes.
This actually happen? Did this actually happen in history or not? That's what's more important. It's not important about if they believe it or not, right? It's like, what they're portraying in their book, is this the actual accounts of how this individual's life went about?
Right, but there's naturalistic explanations for all of it, I think. That has nothing to do with a God.
Well, like, hey, if you thought otherwise, Doug, you wouldn't have this channel, for starters.
Well,
but
and the thing is, I think in any other scenario you would agree with me, but with Islam you don't. Like, if I presented you a text that said a guy went into a cave and came out, and then after 23 years of repeated revelations, it's all documented in the biographies and in different diaries and texts. You wouldn't say, you would doubt this is from a God. You would say, hey, this is a guy who had some problems. This was a movement that used a guy named Muhammad as the front man to start it. They had problems with Judaism. They had problems with Christianity. They wanted to fix these problems. And so they started a new religion and a new movement. Done. Simple. It doesn't take much work.
So you're saying that he was trying to do it so he can fix the society? Change the society?
Oh, yeah, partly, yeah.
What do you think his agenda was?
Exactly what you just said. The agenda I think, is to fix the problems that they saw in Judaism and Christianity, and to have a political power, Judaism. And to have power, and to start a new movement that they thought was correct. They disagreed with the previous views of God.
Okay. So you actually thought...
It's the same way as Mormonism. How Mormonism started. They disagreed with some parts of the Christian New Testament. And so Joseph Smith fixed it and said it was from God.
Joseph Smith's fixing it, between quotation, isn't really fixing it, is he? He probably just confused it even more. But like if we
some would say the same thing about the Quran.
Well, you would think that, but then again, it's we can totally agree to disagree on this particular point at this particular time, so it doesn't drag. But like, I would just like to, like, let's just talk a second. Why, like you said, hey, if I presented you with another book, and you would probably say, no, this is not from God. Like, let's take the Bible, for example. Mm-hmm. You're familiar with the Bible. I'm familiar with the Bible. I've read the Bible back cover to cover twice, and I know I read it all the time. First, for starters, we don't even know who the authors are. Just to begin with. If you go into any book of the Bible, from Genesis all the way to Revelation, the authors that are attributed to the book, there's a lot of discrepancies and a lot of unknowns, a lot of anonymous individuals. Even the Gnostic Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We don't really know who these people are. They're not really Matthew, Mark, Luke,
okay, tell me who wrote the first, pen to paper, who wrote the first 10 surahs of the Quran? I want a name.
Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was the first one to write the first.
How do you know
surah,
that?
then, it's in our traditions.
It's in your tradition. Whoa, hang on, Omar. You've got to be fair here. It's in your traditions, right? Well, yeah, Roman Catholics have traditions as well. So I can now say through the traditions of the Roman Catholic Church that Mark wrote Mark, a disciple Matthew wrote Matthew, a companion of Paul named Luke wrote Luke, and the disciple John wrote John. How do I know? Traditions, just like your answer.
Yeah, but then even their own scholars say otherwise. So how can,
Are there any
again,
Islamic scholars who disagree with your answer you just gave? Any at all?
No,
Not
I
one.
doubt it. I doubt it because it's documented. It's clear, documented, written. It's like it's known. That's the thing. And we have this thing where our proof, our checking is a very, very we have this thing called science of people, and we check every single individual, the narrator.
Roman Catholics have the same thing. They have Eusebius quoting Papias, Papias quoting John, John quoting Mark, Mark quoting Peter, Peter quoting Jesus. We got a chain of custody.
If that was the case, if that was really the case, then we wouldn't have, first of all, Gospels in Greek to start with. The first ever Gospels, they were in Koine Greek, and none of the disciples spoke Greek to begin with. Neither did Jesus, for that matter. He was in Aramaic.
Well, they were just
Hebrew.
Well, the goal was to get the Gentiles involved. If you want to get the Gentiles involved, you don't write it in Hebrew.
So here's another good question. That's another great question. Now here's Jesus before resurrection. When he sent out his disciples, he says, "Go nowhere to the Samaritans and go nowhere to the Gentiles, but only to the lost sheep of Israel." These are the instructions that he gave his disciples. But then when he died and came back to life, all of a sudden he changed his mind and said, "Hey, go and preach this gospel to all the nations and tribes and bless them all."
Well, that's easily explained. At that time, at that moment, Jesus came for the Jews, and then at a later time, it was for everyone.
So God changes his mind, although the Bible says God doesn't change his mind.
No, God didn't change his mind. That was his plan all along. So you see how easy it is for me to take the position of the Christian and just come up with explanations? Muslims can do this too.
But see, your explanations are there's no grounding on it, and you know it. You know it.
But the way you feel right now about my explanations to defend Christianity, get a sense of what that feels like. That's how I feel about Islam. Like I almost throw up in my mouth when Muslims talk about the literary miracle of the Quran. It's like, what is wrong with you? This is so flimsy because it's so subjective. And plus, we have other examples of that type of ring structures and other literature that predate the Quran. And so, and then when they tell me that, when you tell me who wrote the first 10 surahs of the Quran, I mean, how really do you know? And it's through tradition. This is what the Roman Catholics say.
I can guarantee you, Doug, if you stayed 1 hour listening to about just the miracles of the linguistics, listening to all the different examples, all these different, it's all over the book. But if you just sat for 1 hour and listened to it, I guarantee you're going to be like, holy.
Were you talking about the music part?
Forget the music. You'll have to understand the Arabic for that. Well, there are people. There are people that actually found that quite soothing, but that's not what I'm talking.
But Omar,
about.
We're missing the broader picture here.
Wordplay.
We're missing the broader picture here. Something can be amazing in its literary style, the best on the planet, and still have nothing to do with a god. We can know the exact name and where a person was born and when they were born and their sources. We could know that for every text written 1,000 years ago. That still doesn't mean a god has anything to do with it. This is the problem.
I agree with you. I actually agree with you.
So the question is, this evidence for the Quran, for Islam, the evidence for Christianity, the evidence for Judaism is all pathetic. What we would really need is what you said earlier, parting of the Red Sea. Let's do it. Let's go to the Red Sea. Let's recreate the Old Testament. Let's call BBC, ABC, CNN, CBC from Canada, all the world come in and say, okay, let's part the Red Sea today in the name of Allah or in the name of Yahweh, if you believe they're the same. And let's watch. Then we got something. But until that day, you got nothing.
There's an interesting verse in the Quran that talks about people that ask for signs.
Yeah.
Anyone that wants a sign. And then they say, the response is, haven't we given you enough signs? Look at the moon. Look at the sun. Look at yourself.
Now, you said you read the Bible cover to cover, right?
Twice.
Yeah. That's also in the Bible that predates the Quran.
What? The signs?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. My man, I don't disagree that there's a lot of Word of God in the Bible.
That was written specific.
It's the same source. It's the same source. It's the same God.
Or
issue.
Omar, it could be the same God, or a naturalistic explanation is that the authors would realize that someday there'd be people like me saying stuff like this, and they're trying to head me off at the pass. They're trying to squash people like me before we can even open our mouths. And the New Testament is even harsher than the Quran. It says that I'm an idolater. I'm the worst of people. We have the scriptures. Why would I ever ask for a sign like that? And I mean, it's because I value truth. If we really want evidence to support that a God has something to do with this, we need something today. We need to see it today, that's in front of the whole world, that we can say we're not crazy. This is actually happening. It doesn't happen when we call upon Vishnu. It doesn't happen when we call upon Jesus. But when we call upon Allah, then it happens. It happens every 3 months when we call to Allah. We can keep it rare enough so we can still call it a miracle. And this whole idea that we can go to ancient texts to see that the creator universe exists is just ridiculous.
So the purpose of life in Islam, the premise I was talking about earlier, is the test of faith. And now you can't have faith in a fact. So if you asked, or if we got as a world, we got this solid proof that God is there.
Okay.
Make it a fact.
Are you telling me, Omar, that it's not a fact that God wrote the Quran? I mean, that God authored the Quran? That's not a fact?
It's my conviction.
Right, but it's not a fact, is it?
For me, it's a conviction. I'm so.
Is it a fact that Allah, the creator of the universe, authored the Quran? Is that a fact?
No, it's not 100% fact. No.
Okay.
It's not 100%, but like I said, it's a conviction. That's the most you can get. That's the highest level any human being can get. But people are so convinced to the extent that they say, no, it's a fact. Even when I tell them, Muslims, and I tell them the same thing, they say, no, God's a fact for me. I'll say, no, he's not.
Okay, so let's say it was a fact. Let's say Allah gave me what I wanted and parted the Red Sea for me. I still have free will to follow Allah or not, yes?
100%.
Yeah.
What kind of individual would you be?
Well, you could call me
denying truth like that.
You could call me a suppressor of the truth. That's fine. But if your argument is that you need a little bit of faith, or it can't be 100% fact, otherwise, I think you're making this argument. Otherwise, you don't have free will.
No, I'm saying the test will be null. The whole point of this world, our existence, our life, is that we pass a test to see, you're going to do good, you're going to be a contributor to society, or you're going to be one that corrupts it, or you're going to be an individual that helps people or not, things like that. This is what your test is, to see if you're going to be a good person or not.
Right, but I can be a good person without believing the Quran is from God.
100%, and I agree. And there's a lot of people in this world that actually don't believe in God, and they're very great people, a lot better than religion.
Okay, so who cares about the Quran then? Why do I need it?
Oh no, the Quran's different though. The Quran is for us, or we could say for humanity, it's the source. Now, like when we
I've never read the Quran from cover to cover. I've read parts of it, and I'm still a pretty good person. I probably pay more taxes and help society than 99% of people. Why does PineCreek need the Quran?
Why do you need the Quran?
Why does PineCreek need the Quran?
Yeah, today you don't need the Quran.
I don't.
Today you don't need the Quran. You know what you need to do? You just need to be a good person, and then just be sincere to yourself. That's it. And then if that one day it'll come to you. Guidance will come to you. If you're a good person and you're sincere, guidance will come to you. But
so again, I can ignore Islam, is what you're telling me.
Hey, tomorrow's another day. You don't know what happens tomorrow.
You don't want me to become a Muslim?
there's no compulsion in religion. This is clear in the Quran. No compulsion in religion. I can't change a person's heart. I can never convince another individual of God's existence or God's or put belief in them. It's impossible. As much as people try and people
I know, but
wish
is it
and
your
talk,
desire that I become a Muslim?
desire.
Yeah. Do you wish, oh, I hope someday PineCreek becomes a Muslim? Do you ever think that way or no?
Honestly, if you ever became a Muslim, your channel would be so different. I won't lie. People, you're gonna get
it'd
all
be
these
boring.
Muslims coming into your.
It would lose its humor. Do Muslims have a sense of humor?
Well, hey, I make you laugh, don't I? I
Yeah.
like to believe I have a sense of humor, and I enjoy your jokes. But look, at the end of the day, like I said, it's all about just being a good person, and people just need to stop being in other people's business, and that's a big issue that they have in the Middle East. As one of your other callers, I don't know, I think Jay, his name was Jay from some. So he was talking about how the Middle East is backwards and this, that, which is relatively true. Because again, the idea behind it is people are just so in other people's business. People just don't, there's no live and let live. None of this concept. They feel like they should judge. Well, all judgment comes only from God. Who are you to judge? You don't know all the variables.
What
right?
sect of Islam are you from?
I'm Muslim. I don't follow a sect. I don't have a sect, and I tell
your
people,
parents,
don't
are
fall into that.
they Shia?
No.
Are they
also,
Ahmadi?
they're just Muslims. Just Muslims.
Come on.
If I ask my dad, what are you? When I ask my dad, why are you? He tells me I'm just Muslim. And I agree with him. We all agree with this, because at the end of the day, I'm not falling for this labeling, divide and conquer kind of mindset, or that people are trying to put in. Even Muslims do it.
Because you sound
Muslims
Ahmadi to me.
No, definitely not. I'm very against Ahmadiyya. Very against it. I actually talk to people to try to get them away from Ahmadiyya.
Why?
And to come back.
Can't you be a good person and be Ahmadiyya?
Of course, I never said they're not a good person.
Okay, then why do you want them to leave?
Because they're believing in something that's incorrect. They believe a guy that called himself the Messiah and called himself the guy that came for the end times, but he died, and then the end times didn't come, so clearly he was not talking true, right? So, wake up, people. And then they twist and turn the Quran the way they want to. Anyway, it's not you can always anyone can find fault in anyone. I'm not perfect, so I'm not one to judge. But again, if I feel like a person approaches me and he starts talking to me and he's trying to promote Ahmadiyya, I'll let him know.
Well, the reason why I'm asking you what sect you're from, because you said to me, just be a good person. But you do understand that some Muslims believe that in order to be a good person, you have to kill some people.
Kill?
Yeah.
Why? Why does someone always have to die?
Because the definition of good, I'm just representing some Muslims. The definition of good is that which comports to the nature of Allah. And if Allah wants you to kill some people, then you would be bad not to. Now, if some Muslims believe that God really said that you need to kill a former Muslim who knows the truth and decides to walk away from it, then by not killing them, you're a bad person. So, right?
Well, technically, yeah, but then, that command is not once written in the Quran. Not once is there a command to kill an apostate.
That's not the issue. The issue is that some Muslims believe that this is what Allah wants, and whether they're misinterpreting things, that's different. But it's what is the definition of being a good person? They're truly believing that they're good people by following Allah. And Allah, they truly believe, says, kill the apostate.
No. So when that person approaches me and says this, and I show him that it doesn't say this, it actually says the opposite in the Quran, and if he sticks to his stupid belief, then he clearly has.
What's wrong with that Hikachu guy? What's his name? He debated.
Daniel Hikachu?
Yeah, Daniel. He'll tell you.
So my brother Daniel, he's very honestly, I agree with his views, but the way he expresses it, it makes you guys, or makes everybody else seem that he's ready to go and become a vigilante and just kill people. And it's not like that. It's a whole, there's a court system, there's a law system, etc. And then if a person, and he'll tell you the exact same thing, if an individual just doesn't believe in Islam in his heart, he used to be a Muslim, but then he just doesn't believe anymore because he just got convinced otherwise, then he can basically, then there's no problem there. It only becomes a problem once the individual starts to voice it and starts causing a problem.
You said did you say you kind of agree with Daniel Hikachu?
In his concept, in his like
in his theology, yeah. Well, doesn't he believe that you should kill the apostates?
No, not in the way that you're trying to.
Like no. The government, a theological Islamic government, should kill apostates.
An Islamic government should kill an apostate only if that apostate is actually doing something against the government, becoming like. So back in the day when the Prophet did it, they were only doing it to people that were traitors. The apostate were just a traitor. Because at the time it was a time of war.
So you don't believe so if someone obeys all the laws of a Islamic land and just says, I used to be a Muslim, now I'm no longer, I reject Islam as true, you're saying it does not
Who's
teach
he saying that to?
To the people around him.
Okay.
And if he's and the government hears about this and says there's a guy on the street saying he no longer believes in Islam and thinks it's false. He's telling people on the streets.
You can't do that.
Why not?
Because that's not obeying the law of the land.
Okay, so are you for or against killing someone who was a former Muslim?
Of course not.
Who's on the streets proclaiming he's a former Muslim, and he says this is why I think it's false.
Yeah, of course not. I don't think you should kill him. I think you should educate him.
Okay, now explain Surah 489 to me then.
Let me read it.
They wish that you reject the faith as they have rejected, and thus that you all become equal, like one another. So take not, how do you pronounce the name? Ayullahs from them till they emigrate in the way of Allah. But if they turn back, take hold of them and kill them wherever you find them. So if they turn back from Islam, and take neither Allah nor helpers from them. Wherever you find them is the key part. Now, do you just say this is for a certain time in a certain place?
Well, here we need to first let me open it. Sorry, I'm just trying to find it. You have to read the surah, like the ayah before, ayah after. You have to know what's the context, right? You can't just. Hold on a second. Just opening up. You said 489.
Yeah.
So looking this up, 489.
I think there's other surahs as well, right? That talk about it.
Yeah. There's a lot of surahs that people have thrown my way like that.
Even if you say it's not for today, don't we have an example in the Quran where the creator of the universe is saying for a certain time, for a certain people, if they follow Islam and then turn away, they should be killed? Isn't that that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah. So again, back during the Prophet's time where these verses were made, it was us against them. It was a war. But it was after 13 years of Muhammad calling them and telling them without any fighting, there was no fighting whatsoever. They persecuted them. They tortured the Muslims because they were the ones that were dominant. These Muslims, the ones that joined them, were slaves and poor people and some noble people. But then the ones that didn't have a clan or anything to protect them, they were getting tortured and what. So anyway,
here, just hang on a second. This is a better one. This is Surah 390. But those who reject faith after they accepted it and then go on adding to their defiance of faith, never will their repentance be accepted, for they are those who have set a purpose gone astray. Make no excuses. Hang on. Yeah, he who disbelieves in Allah after having believed, he is not compelled while in his heart is at rest. On these, the wrath of Allah, they shall have a grievous chastisement.
What is this translation you're reading?
Well, there's so many different translations. It's like I'm serious. Like if you open up the Quran online,
389 you said, or what was it? 3 what? Sorry.
Hang on, I just lost my place.
I hope I'm not like taking too much of your
time.
Well,
I gotta go pick up my son soon, but
yeah, let's just we can wrap it up.
But to be clear, you're against death to apostates, right?
For someone that just simply disbelieves, of course, definitely. We can't kill people. Like you're not going to solve anything. Think of it this way, Doug. Let's say Islam is true, there is God, etc. If I meet an individual and he says he's a non-Muslim, he doesn't believe in God, etc., and then we don't know what tomorrow will bring. Maybe this individual in 5-10 years he's gonna come back to the faith, and then he might be a better Muslim. But if I kill him today, I guarantee that he's gonna die.
I made a video saying the exact same thing. No Muslim should kill a non-Muslim because you take away their opportunity to become a Muslim.
Exactly, especially if someone that just because something happened throughout their life or sequence of events led them to disbelief, like it doesn't. Who are you? Who are we to judge? We are not people to. Rather, we came, and one of the companions of the Prophet said that we came from with divine guidance, and therefore we should tell people about it. We should inform. We're not.
Okay, but if like I'm pretty somewhat successful in changing people's minds about religion. If I was in an Islamic country and I was on the street corner and I was saying things that cause Muslims to doubt and leave Islam, and it's a Islamic theocracy, and in their laws, if it said that what I'm doing is punishable by death, you would support that or not support that? That I would be killed for leading people away from Islam.
If I didn't know you and I just heard about it, I'll be like, man, this guy, he's an idiot. He just basically.
No, but that's not my question about me being an idiot. Would you vote for or not vote for me dying for leading people away from Islam?
So you were successful. You actually led people away.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I have, according to not very many, but 1 or 2 people have told me that I was instrumental in them leaving Islam. So let's say I did that in a theocracy, an Islamic theocracy, and their law said anyone who leads someone away from Islam that's punishable by death. Would you support that or not support that?
Okay, so let's just be clear. It's not in the Quran. That's one thing. So it's not Islamic law. I'm not defying anything that has to do with God. So I would not agree.
You would not support that?
Of course not. No. Of course not.
Because do you admit that some Muslims do support that?
No, of course. A lot of people support it. Even Muslims that don't even know anything about Islam will support it.
Why do you think they support that?
Insecurity?
No, but wouldn't they say they have the Quran or at least the Hadiths backing them up on that?
See, again, Hadith, I'm very up for Hadith and everything. I respect it and I respect the process that they went through and all that. But again, if it goes against, there are Muslims today that will take Hadith over Quran, which doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, no, but let's say they would use the Quran to say, yeah, we should kill Doug.
Yeah, well, and then we would look at the Quran and we see that it wasn't there.
Well, no, I just brought up 489, Surah 489. They would say, they would read this and say, look, here's an example where Allah said that if some people come back to your country to lead people astray from Islam, that you should kill them wherever you find them.
See, again, that is not, they're reading it the wrong context. That's why. So if you're looking at 89, I found it finally. So it starts off 88. It just starts off at 88, where it's believers. Why are you divided in two about the hypocrites? Hypocrites. Now back then there were hypocrites they secretly became Muslim. because of the benefits, but they didn't really believe. They didn't believe in the Prophet. These were people in Medina that secretly became, so they were called hypocrites. So he says, why are you divided in the two about the hypocrites, when God himself has rejected them because of what they have done? Do you want to guide those God has left astray? If God leaves anyone to stray, you, as in prophet, will never find the way for him.
Read 89 now.
Yeah, now we're at 89.
Okay.
They would dearly like you to reject faith as they themselves have done. Who? The hypocrites, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be like them. So do not take them, the hypocrites, as allies until they migrate to Medina for God's cause. So unless they actually really, truly change their ways and believe, so they migrate for God's cause. If they turn on you, like basically they turn against your pledge, the pledge of allegiance that they gave you, all this, then seize and kill them wherever you encounter them. Take none of them as an ally or supporter.
Yeah, so you interpret this as them actually attacking
let's
first.
Go to the next one. But let's go to the next one. But yeah, it is of course them attacking, definitely. Yeah. But let's go to the next one. But as for those who seek refuge with people with whom you have a treaty, or with whom come over to you because of their hearts shrink from fighting against you or against their own people, God could have given them power over you, and they would have fought you. So if they withdraw and do not fight and offer you peace, then God gives you no way against them.
See, now listen to this version. This is what's so interesting, because your version you read, I agree with your interpretation, but listen to this version, 489. They wish you would disbelieve as they disbelieve, so you would be alike. So do not take from among them allies until they emigrate for the cause of Allah. So in other words, don't accept them unless they become Muslim. But if they turn away, then seize them and kill them. So it doesn't mean like they're attacking you. It says, but if they turn away from Islam, seize them and kill them wherever you find them, and take not from among them any ally or helper. So it gives a completely different picture of just people
what
what you just gave me. So then we're left with, okay, well, what's the will of Allah in this situation? It's all up. Now, if you're a tree hugger like you, Omar, you're a very compassionate person. You're going to take the very nice interpretation. And if you're a justice Muslim, you're going to take, we need to smite PineCreek.
So, okay.
But anyhow, I'll give you the last word, but I got to go.
Yeah, let me just give you the last thing about translation. Now, any translation that you read, Doug, is just that individual's interpretation of the Arabic text. You get it? The author that just wrote that translation, it's his interpretation of the Arabic text. That's it. So the whole point, Arabic language is very deep. One word can have multiple meanings.
Yeah.
It can, so it just depends on how this translator looked at it.
Too bad Allah
doesn't. That's it.
Too bad Allah won't use you as a prophet to come up with a new and improved Quran in English.
Oh, I'm not needed. No, I'm not needed. Trust me, the Quran.
An English Quran would be directly from Allah would be so appreciated.
I'll email you a really good copy.
Why don't you email Allah for me and tell him to speak the whole Quran again, but in English, and then do that every 100 years as English changes. Or he can do it in every language, directly from God, in Spanish and French and Russian and German. Anyhow, thanks for coming in, Omar.
I appreciate the talk. Thank you, Doug. Take care.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah, that was interesting. Why is Allah's book so hard to understand? But I'm glad that Omar doesn't want me to die. Thanks, Oak River, for doing your moderation duties. 500 fine points to Lawrence Brown. The worst thing about Bill Cosby was his hypocrisy. Lawrence, I think it was the raping. Rest in peace, Norm McDonald. Thank you for any donations that I might have missed. I will try to be more regular, not with my bowel movements, but with coming on live streams here. Hey, I got Pine Points for my first live stream. Yes, Lawrence, you are the chosen one. Send your resume to the home office in Wichita, Kansas. We need more people like you. Rest in peace, Betty White. Yes, 99 years old. Betty White is now in Muslim hell. No. That's so cruel. Thanks, Melody Joy. Thanks, Omar, for coming on. Thanks, Canadian Catholic. Thank you, Jay. My apologies to Kirk Cameron from TBN. He was scheduled to come on and talk about doubt and me suppressing the truth and unrighteousness, but we ran out of time.